Hi everyone. Today's reading task is called In Search of a Better Life. What are the rights of migrants? When people are forced to leave their homes, they may cross the borders into other countries overland. In these situations, the jurisdiction is clear as the borders between countries are typically recognized internationally. However, some migrants may have to head to the seas to make their way to safety in another country. In these situations, the borders are not as clear because there is a gray area of jurisdiction in international waters. In this situation, international treaties govern but do not necessarily indicate the specific action that needs to be taken. As a result, the treatment of boats carrying migrants and refugees varies, with some nations turning these boats away from the waters and others allowing them to pass into their jurisdiction. For example, in the United Kingdom, the Home Secretary has directed authorities to turn away migrant boats from British waters, while the French government has stated that the authorities are barred from stopping boats unless those on board are in need of help. Although many may speculate about the ethics of such behavior as well as the true reasons for turning migrant boats away, some legal experts point to the interpretation of the language of the laws governing the seas as the basis for these differences, specifically the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea (LOCS) and the International Convention on Maritime Search and Rescue (SAR). Those who are in favor of turning boats away recognize that under the LOCS, every country requires its ships to provide assistance to any person found at sea in danger of being lost. However, the way that is done is left up to the countries themselves. Evidence provided by legal experts in the UK state that under the SAR, the UK is responsible for arranging delivery of people in an unsafe boat to a place of safety, and that there's no obligation under international law for the UK to allow migrants into the UK just because they are on the unsafe boats. They claim that it is acceptable for the migrants to be taken to France given that France is a safe country. Furthermore, France is a European Union member, so it is required by Article 2 of the Treaty of European Union to respect human rights by accepting these migrants. In addition, these legal experts also interpret the language of the LOSC narrowly to justify turning away migrant boats from entering the UK. They admit that the LOSC does include a duty to rescue anyone in danger. However, they focus on the language that ships of all states are able to enjoy innocent passage through a state's territorial waters, claiming that innocent status does not extend to those boats unloading people, as this is against immigration laws. They further claim that the LOSC allows a country to take necessary steps to prevent passage of those boats whose passage is not innocent. The argument they make is that illegal activity is increasingly involved in these passages since organized criminal gangs play a central role and profit from them. As one British Conservative Member of Parliament, Mr Tim Lawton, has said, the occupants of those boats are committing two crimes. One is trying to enter the UK illegally, and the second is paying money to organized crime, both of which provide grounds for those boats and the occupants to be returned to France. Although Mr. Lawton mentions that the physical safety of migrants should be considered, this interpretation of the law an innocent passage does not reflect the ethical issues many legal experts point to. As a result, there are different opinions on whether this point of view is the correct one.